people want to find a question to an answer right now, they go on Google for the most part. ChatGPT is sort of replacing that in a way, but people can go on your site, RealChar, and it's more like a personal connection because they can talk to someone, but they can still query for things, so it's like more fun.
There are two things we improve. First, we allow you to have a natural conversation. This is like how human communicate with human, right? You talk to them like in natural conversation, you listen back, you can interrupt them, and in the future, like they can interact for you.
Yeah, it seems like you're creating a great culture too. It seems like the developers and you yourself are really embodying a great culture of how to use this and how to promote this and really having a great attitude about it. And I think that trickles down throughout the use cases as well.
I'm Shaun, and I have been working in the tech industry for the last 10 years. So before RealChar, I was working on self-driving cars, and before self-driving cars, and I was on Google Assistant team building Google Assistant for everyone. So I'm pretty much like stay on the trend of newer technology, and I always want to bring the technology to everyone. So that's like pretty much everything behind like RealChar because we have seen so much momentum for all the character space, AI companion space, but everyone is trying to put put the technology behind the paywall. So that's why we think okay, it's the opportunity for everyone to use it, and why don't we just open source it? Like everybody will be able to build their own characters and build their own AI companions, and also add a little bit like kind of self-driving car technology, like make it more real time, right? So that's the thinking behind like RealChar.
So that's pretty cool. It seems like that's kind of like a growing trend right now is these like characters and things like that. Um, so just to get it started, for somebody who's never seen your project before, somebody who has no idea about it, what is the project and how does it
Yeah.
work?
Yes. So in a very natural is it's a character you can talk to Elon Musk, AI Elon Musk, right? You can talk to AI Sam Altman. So they have each of those AI characters have the similar personalities like the actual public figure, and they also have the same similar voice. So you can talk to them in real time, asking them questions, get their answer back, and ask their opinions. Also have your have your questions be answered by them. This is just like very simple way to describe what real chart is.
So you like ChatGPT, most LLMs don't have a live data source to get information from. You guys do. Like, how do you guys do that?
Yes. So, ChatGPT, the limitation for ChatGPT is first is term-based, right? You send a text, you wait for response. The second is ChatGPT training data is up to 2021, right? So for RealChar, there are two things we improved. First, we allow you to have a natural conversation, just like how human communicate with human, right? You talk to them like in natural conversation, you listen back, you can interrupt them, and in the future, like they can interact for you. Right. Second is we also enhance this with like a internet search capability, right? So we allow the character to search internet, get the most updated information to answer your questions. For example, if you go to RealChar, you can ask uh, Steve Jobs, right? Like what his thinkings on Vision Pro. You can ask like Sam Altman what's his thinkings on custom instructions. So those are the things that we think we want to enable everyone to try. Is like given some personalities similar like those AI characters, you can ask their like real time opinions on the things they if they give an opinion, what do we look like?
Awesome. So like, who determines what? Like, are you screen? Like, how do you get the real time data? Is it from Google or is it from a search engine, or how is that done?
Yeah. So right now is from a search engine. We use like there's several tools we use, but we prefer like Google search. We think
Mhm.
Google search give you the most accurate data. So what I in the when you talk to the character, what it happens is when the character does not know the answer to that question, it's going to try to use a tool, to search the internet, get the most updated information. Then once it realize, okay, it may know the answer, then it will give you like what's its opinions on that particular piece of the question you asked.
Awesome. And how do you judge what is the correct answer from Google? Like, because you might get 10 different results. Like,
Yeah,
how does that work? Is ChatGPT
yeah,
doing that, or
right. That's a really good question. I think there are definitely several frameworks you can do, like evaluate if the accurate information. But we right now we are not doing that right now. Like we basically trust Google. Like if I ask
okay?
you the question, you should give me the right answer, right? Yeah,
All right. Well, I mean, Google's pretty. They've got it
yeah,
down pretty
pretty.
well. So
Yes,
yeah.
yeah,
So you talked about a little bit how you think that these projects are really cool. They're
yeah.
interesting. They're very innovative and prevalent right now. It seems like. Um, what do you think? How can this sort of project benefit the average person?
Yeah, I think this is a really good question. I think just like how ChatGPT works right now, right? So ChatGPT give everyone a very simple interface to access information, to access technology. But this is not the naturalist way you can access information, right? I think, as a kid, you learn to speak before you can type. So that's why we think, the conversation based or the like audio conversation based, this type of conversation will be more easy for everyone to access information. So that's why, like, I think in the future, everybody will be very easy to talk to this type of AI characters and get the information instantly. Yeah, so then you don't need to know how the technology works behind the scene, but you can basically get a very simple interface to get the information you need.
So are you sort of like insinuating that it gives like going through? How do you? Is it RealChar or care? How do you say it?
Yeah, it's RealChar, so real
RealChar. Okay.
time, yeah,
Yeah.
character right
So
now. Yeah.
RealChar, do you like? It's almost a way like people go on if people want to find a question to an answer right now, they go on Google for the most part.
Yeah.
ChatGPT is sort of replacing that in a
Yeah.
way, but
Yeah.
people can go on your site, RealChar, and it's more like a personal connection because they can talk to someone, but they can still
Yes.
query for things, so it's like more fun.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah, I didn't think about it
Yeah.
like that. That's
I
cool.
think I think you just hit the point. I think right now I just want the technology make it cool and fun, right? So
Yeah.
I think everyone needs to enjoy the technology before you can make it part of life, right? So that's why we want to we talk to those famous figures, engage with them, enjoy the conversation. That's a starting point. And this project is only 2 weeks old. So right. So yeah, so this is the starting point we want to give everyone. You have the ability to try it out.
Awesome, because most of the time, like someone goes on Google, they just go for that one answer. But
Yeah.
if someone's really engaged with Elon Musk, they might
Yeah.
ask him a bunch of questions they would have never asked Google because it's more fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I think Ryan just hit the point. I think when we think of some of the use cases, people do ask some life advice, based on the information they provide to Elon or AI Elon, right? So then they get some advice from him. And I saw on Twitter, there's someone told me, okay, they ask some products and they're like AI Elon gave him a new product he never thought of. Then he tried and it actually worked. So it's really
Wow.
interesting.
Awesome.
So what inspired you to do this sort of thing?
Yeah, so really good question. So I am more a mission-driven person. I believe two missions. I want to advance technology, so that's the first. So the second part is make it accessible to everyone. So it's through my career. I worked on the Google system before because I believe all the virtual assistants should be more universal. Everybody should be access it. No matter how old you are, no matter what are the education level you are, you should be able to access the technology. Second is self-driving car. Same, right? I think when I get old, I cannot drive, I want a self-driving car to drive me. So I can be I don't need to depend on someone, right? I can still have to enjoy the independence. So this is the part I believe also self-driving is universal. So that's why I want to build this RealChar is I believe a companion should be universal, right? Everyone should be able to access the technology, be able to enjoy the technology without have a master degree, right? So this is the part I believe the technology is here. So I want everyone to access it.
And I don't know if we got this on recording, so I don't know if you want to go over it a little bit, but your background sort of supports that, right? Can you go into your little bit about your background of where you worked and things like that?
Yeah, so I worked on self-driving car for 4 years, and very interesting. My team on 2019 was the first team launched public robotaxi in Irvine to allow everyone to try it out, and we got tons of media coverage on that. So that's before pandemic. Then I worked for self-driving car for a couple of years, but I still think like self-driving car is the future. But it might take another like 5 to 10 years because like the technology is so hard and there are so many corner cases. Before that I was at Google Assistant, so worked for Google Assistant for 4 years and trying to like we were building something similar to ChatGPT plugin. Very interesting. Like my team was called like Actions on Google. So the idea is to bring Alexa skill type of like or a Siri shortcut into Google Assistant, right? So that was before like skills and like shortcuts. So we were trying to help. If one example is if you want to ask Google Assistant to take you from A to B, Google Assistant does not have the capability. But we can call Uber's back and say, okay, we're going to order Uber for you. So that was like, what the Actions of Google all about. So I was on that team for a couple of years. So like my whole career has been, basically help the technology to help deliver the technology to everyone. So so that's why like I started RealChar.
Awesome. And what was the car company? Can you say what that you worked for?
Yeah. So the company called Ponytail AI.
Okay.
So that's the So it's a global company, and I spend most of the time in Bay Area. So we have a office in Bay Area.
Okay, so talking about your project here, can you give us a little bit? I mean, I don't want to go too deep into this because as a developer, we can go down the rabbit hole, right?
Yeah.
But can you give us just a little bit of like, what's the backend stack look like? What's your technology look like, and how this works?
Yeah. I think this is part is really interesting. Because I do a lot of kind of type of teaching on Twitter, right? There are a lot of people asking me for my opinions on like what tech stack I should use for large language model. So that's why when I started RealChar, I want the tech stack really simple. Everyone should be able to understand. The crazy thing is like for the first version of RealChar, the useful code is less than 1,000 lines of code. So you can have like less than 1,000 lines of code and everything just works. So that's why when I choose a technology like, from the speech to text to like how we inject data, how do we serve in the data, how do we like do large number orchestration, how do we do text to speech, those are very simple technologies or like swappable technologies. So like, one thing to mention is I have a like stack or tech stack architecture in GitHub repo. So if you search RealChar, like go to the GitHub repo, there is a really nice graph of all the components we use. Also, like, another thing is like we are thinking of to have a series like of tutorials for all the tech stacks for the large language model space, because I think there are so many people interested in this and so many people want to get started, but we want to do more for the community.
Awesome. And one thing that's really cool is like you can make a call to Elon Musk. It's not just text.
Yes.
So you can actually talk to him on the website right now.
Yes.
That's really awesome.
Talk to us. How does that work? Talk to us how that works.
Yeah. So, because to make it work, there are so many things have to get it right? Because like when you make a call, your latency should be less than a couple of seconds, right? Otherwise, you are just waiting for the response. So which means like from the speech to text, you have to basically stream all the speech to text and translate it into text in real time. And then the text need to go into the large language model to get, first you need to get the relevant information, right? So you're going to query all the Chroma's vector database, right? Get the relevant information for the context. Then to large language model, get the stream data coming back from the large language model. Then use that stream like text to send to like text to speech engines like 11 Labs. Then use that, then have each audio put like truncated to going to send back to the client side, then play the audio. So there's everything, from when you speak to when you listen to the audio, it's all like streaming, extremely like streaming.
And it's all like, not to confuse our audience that doesn't have a tech background, but it's all synchronous too, right? Like one thing depends on the other. Like, so you can't do anything until one thing has been completed, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
That's
awesome.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So would you say, like, I know that there's a lot of, like, if you think about different projects like character AI and stuff like that, do similar stuff to this. What differentiates your project, RealChar, from those other projects?
Yeah, first is like it gives you the real timeness, right? Like before, I think character AI is also adding some of the audio input output. So because we started this like thinking the conversation should be more natural, right? Like not just text based. So that's like the the initial thought. We need to make sure our characters are sound like really cool, like sound like them, right? Have the knowledge like them, right? Also, like it will have a natural conversation. So those are things. I think character AI they also have those like math characters. They are also training their own. I think training their own large language model. And the good things is like they're already doing a lot of market education, right? So I don't need to educate people like how the character works, right? So, but they are like training their own large language model. But we believe, even with the existing large language model like ChatGPT and Anthropic, you can already have very engaging conversations with those characters. So you don't need to train your own model, to do a character. So that's why like we open source this, like because we believe everyone can have their own character like without like training their own models. But I don't think everyone can have enough money to train their own models.
Oh yeah. So how do you go? Like right now, there's a few different people on your site. Well, one thing I want to point out before I go into this is one
Mhm.
very cool thing that I noticed for your demo videos is when you're asking, it's not just Elon Musk. You have a bunch of different people on there as well
Yeah.
on your site, more, celebrities or anyone that's popular in the U.S. But when you're talking to them, like it is very natural because you're interrupting them sometimes. Like they're going
Yes.
on something, you stop them like mid sentence, and they
Yes.
pause, and then you ask them, and they change
Yeah.
topic or answer your
Yeah.
question, which is really cool.
Yes. Yeah. I think this is the part is I believe the conversation. So I believe AI should learn how human communicate, right? How human acknowledge each other, how human have a keep the conversation going. So, but we are like trained to talk to AI now, right? Like you trained to how to speak to AI by prompt engineering, right? How to wait for the response when So those are just like I feel it's like a little bit wrong, like so. But I believe like technology is getting there, so that's why I starting to allow you to interrupt the AI. Like I said, in the future, AI will interrupt you when it knows like the context, right? So then it's like I know it's a little bit black mirror, but I still believe that's really interesting, like really. And yeah, so this is the part is like I believe what I want to solve the audio part first, then we will start slowly adding to the visual part, right? How AI going to see you, understand you by the like how you move and how you acknowledge, how you're nodding. So those are things like coming, and we're already actively actually working on those.
No, it
Yeah,
was something that definitely stood out. It was really cool because you don't see that. It's always I ask a question, let them answer, and then they
Yeah,
ask the next question. So it really stood out to be a
yeah,
differentiator on your part. So that was cool.
yeah.
What right now there's I mean I don't remember how many characters are on your site right now, but how does a new character get added? Can users eventually do that? Can they do that now, or how does that work?
Yes, I think we just launched our 002 version yesterday. Before that, all the characters we control, like which character we want to add. Now, like everyone can add their own characters. We already have like several community members added their characters like on the platform. If you go to RealChar right now, so there is a community like character like section, so you can select the characters built from the community. But right now, still you still need to do some little coding, but a very minimum coding for that. So
Okay.
because we want to have some like little review process, right? So like we want to make sure the character is is not harmful in a way, right? But I think for the future versions, we'll have even easier version for everyone to create their characters. But right now, it's probably 5 minutes for a very good, like, okay, if you know how to code, 5 minutes, you can create your character. But now in the future, we'll probably down to 1 minute, right? From creation to get add background, then up running, probably in a couple minutes should be able to do. Yeah, so
And
that's our roadmap.
the users will be able to do that eventually, do you think?
Yes, pretty
Okay.
soon, pretty soon.
All right.
Like our
Awesome.
team is like actively working on that, like pretty soon.
So you
Great.
mean people who, just to be clear, people who do have somewhat coding background can pretty easily make a character right now of their own,
Yes,
and
yes.
then you're trying to make it so that people who don't know how to code can eventually make a character.
Yes, exactly. So that's our goal.
That would be very cool. So what other stuff are you working on right now to improve the platform?
Yeah. So we think the character should be, like I said, like character should be knowing the human world, right? Like to see you, understand you. Like we're constantly improving how its capabilities, right? How do not just text, not just audio, can we add more capability to the character? So that's definitely one thing. Second is like we want to, when you look at the character, make it more alive, right? Like making start can react to your like gestures or like movements, right? So this is also like we also had them. So if you go to like also like RealChar website, there is from a community member, there's a avatar tag. So one of the company we just partnered with them is they are like adding some really cool like animations for the characters. Then it can talk, and when your mouse moves, then it can see your mouse movement. So it's pretty cool technology. But so those are the things like several things we are adding. So we are also adding the character should be learned, not just session based, just how like ChatGPT added like custom instructions, right? Kind of like global memory. So we are also trying to add those concepts into like RealChar. Is when you talk to a character or when you switch different characters, they still understand who you are, like where it's coming from. So you don't need to give them the same context over and over again.
So
Awesome.
you may have went over this, but I just wanted to go back just a little bit.
Yep.
So in the most basic terms that you can, let's say for somebody that doesn't understand how this would work, how
Sure.
are you pulling this? Let's say somebody goes to create a new character.
Yep.
Where's the information for that character being pulled from?
Yeah. So as a very basic terms, there are several ways you can create a character, right? So if you know, like OpenAI, because we use OpenAI, right? So OpenAI has data until 2021. So if you are trying to recreate someone who already exists, already famous, like before 2021, it's very easy to create them, right? So like you just give them a name, some additional background if you use them. That's pretty much it, right? Like this is just like because so that's the part of if you're using larger model, existing larger models, you can simply create someone you think it's like famous. But if you're going to create someone like building, there are some people asking me like, if I want to recreate my loved ones, right? So then it might need a little bit more data, right? Like how this person like personalities and how the person used to talk in a certain way. So you have to give it a way how it talks back to you, right? So then, even those data shouldn't be too hard, right? Like you can easily convert them into text. So in control text, because all the things we need is text. We doesn't care about the format. So you can, it's everything in pure text, dump that text in, give it a name, it just magically works. So that's the thing we're trying to do for RealChar.
So are you using primarily ChatGPT? Okay.
We also use Anthropic. So we support two like really powerful large model.
Very cool. So they have this sort of capability where they can take a real person, or they could do kind of like an imaginary character or somebody in their life, as long as they provide more data.
Yeah.
In those cases.
Yeah. Also, it can be an iterative approach, right? So if you think, okay, there are certain memories like this character does not have, just keep adding more, right? So then it will be able to like, so this is also the part like why we want to open up to more users, right? You can just keep adding more data as, if you want this more look like that person. Yeah.
It's really cool. We interviewed, who was it that talked about I forget the name of the company that we interviewed about this specifically, but it's really cool. Like someone in your family passes away, you could recreate them and talk to them every day. I mean, it's got so many different implications. It's really crazy.
Yeah. So this is also one of the reasons I open source technology, right? I believe everyone should have the technology. They should be able to do them all, right? So, but if you trust us, we can help you to host everything. So then you don't need to worry about our technology. But everything is open source. So you can, so this is, I think the trust part is, especially for loved ones, right? You don't want you don't want to like give away your data. Then you don't know what's going on behind.
Right, because you can run can you run this locally as well on your computer
Yeah,
if you want to?
yeah,
Okay.
very
Awesome.
simple, very simple. Like
Yeah.
I intentionally keep it really simple. If you know basic coding, 3 or 4 lines of code, you get it running.
Awesome. Is it just Docker or
Yeah, we
what?
have we have a Docker version, we have Python version, right? So the
Okay.
Docker version even simpler, like 2 lines of code, then you get it
Yeah.
running.
So one thing I wanted to ask is, are you the sole founder of this, sole developer of this, or do you have a team? And if so, how big's your team grown to now?
Yeah. So I have another co-founder. So we pretty much like quit our jobs because we believe, this is really powerful technology, and we want to really bring this to everyone. We also talk about this like, even if we don't get any funding, we're going to keep going. Like we think this is the future, right? Then we also have like some community contributors who help us to build like front end, build our like some mobile apps. So also like this is a good part to be a open source, right? We get people who align with your vision to help you to work on that same vision.
Yeah, it's incredible. Because if you had to pay these people, it looks like because you have how many contributors right now in GitHub? Is it like 15 or something like
Well,
that?
yeah, it's like more than 10, I think.
Yeah. But if you had to pay them all a salary, there's no way you'd be able
Right.
to survive
No.
without funding. So,
Right, right.
yeah, it's awesome. Oh, what about the
Cool.
like? So all these technologies like 11 Labs,
Mhm.
ChatGPT, whatever other kind of backend APIs you're calling, they all cost money. So how are you doing
Yeah.
that right now?
So right now, like we said, like we right now is trying to bring fun and entertaining to everyone, right? So like we think it's like our cost is okay for us to control right now, but in the future, definitely we are also thinking about other like business models, like
Okay.
how do we make sure this like we can keep the business running without bankrupt ourselves, but we still have some credits for those companies, right? So we're going to keep it running for those credits for a while, then like we will think about like what's the right approach, to make it more sustainable.
Can you use like Llama 2 right now to replace ChatGPT? Do they have an API that would be free or no?
No, so like Llama 2, if because Llama 2 depends on which version or how big the model you want to host, right? So if you want to use the most capable models, it's like you still need to host somewhere. You still need to have a hosting cost. So we compare the cost right now. So also like internally, we are evaluating how Llama 2 works, right? So Llama 2 is pretty promising, like in a way, right? Especially if we are doing conversation. This is really good for conversation. But in terms of cost, actually calling OpenAI's backend is cheaper than we
Really?
host ourselves. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's probably at one point, I think I believe open source community, right? At one point, Llama 2 might be so small, so tiny, and really good, and can host on everyone's mobile or like desktops, right? Then there's no hosting cost, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, so this is the part I'm looking forward, like looking for the open source community to contribute on Llama 2.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it's only gonna get cheaper for the API calls, hopefully.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what it
yeah,
sounds like. So,
yeah,
So during the creation of this project, what has
yeah.
been the biggest roadblock or the biggest difficulty that you've had?
Yeah. Oh, well, I think but during the project, I don't think there's a much like roadblockers, right? Because like once you get on, you starting work on this, like you really dead focused on like delivering this. It's like it's more like before the project, right? Because when you talk about when you tell people, like think about like if you like at my position, right? You're talking to people saying, okay, I'm going to build a real-time AI character or a real-time AI companion. Do they believe you? Do they think you are crazy? Like this, they will tell you, okay, there's already character AI, right? There's already like perplexity, like there's so many like people doing this. Why are you trying to do this, right? And you're doing it in open source, right? People think you're crazy. So I got a lot of friends telling me like, why do you even do this? Right? So it's actually before that, like people don't think this is going to be a big thing and don't think like this is really important. Yeah. So, but now, no one going to challenge me like there's a market for that.
What motivated you to keep going? Like
Yeah.
when
So like I said, like I'm a mission driven person, right? I believe the technology is here. I believe everyone should be able to access the technology, right? Not just like someone who is a very advanced technology like expert, right? Who are able to run like a large language model on your local machine, right? Not those folks like who going to have a challenge and like to understand this, but I want to make it universally accessible and everybody, like even you just need to know how to communicate. Then you can use the technology, right? So this is the part keep me running. And also like in my family, I have some like disabled like family members, right? So when I work on Google Assistant, I find like voice conversation is really helpful for them, right? Like think about like for us, it's easy to turn off lights or turn on lights. Even for them, it's really challenging work for them to turn on and off lights. So that's why I find I should make like virtual assistants smarter, right? Not just doing simple things. Also give them a way to access the technology, access the informations. Then I can, let the geeks like handle all the like hard things behind, right? So you will be the person just using it, right? So that's like keep motivates me to keep working on this, pushing the technology to everyone.
Awesome.
So I wanted to ask you a question about AI more generally. So where do you see the direction of AI as a whole going right now?
So like my name, like AGI, right? So I work in the tech industry for the last 10 years. What I used to see is like the AI was a fancy tool only for the large companies. Think about like Meta, Google, they were powered by AI, but it was never a consumer like functionality, a capability. But when you access, but you were a product of AI, right? But you were not using an AI product. Think about all the recommendation systems, like how the Facebook works and all those things, right? Try to get you hooked. So you are you are an AI so you understand like what I mean. So, but now with the newer AI trends, everyone can finally use AI on their daily life. And this AI is going to accelerate. And this is the I used to call this like narrow AI, right? So ANI, so artificial narrow intelligence. So this type of AI was like before this year, right? Like it was only for certain use cases, for recommendations, for like engagements, or for those type of things. But in the future will be AGI, like artificial general intelligence, which means the AI can do most things for you, right? So that means like it can understand the world, understand like understand who you are, understand where you're coming from, understand what you are doing, right? It's a general intelligence. Then the next step will be the AI side, right? Artificial super intelligence. So this is the part like OpenAI really scared of, right? So that's why they have this super alignment, right? So they want to make sure when we have that like super intelligence, that beyond human intelligence, right? Like that's like AlphaGo level, right? It can beat human level, that type of intelligence. We can still make sure that the intelligence aligned with human, right? Try not to kill us. So this is the part is like, yeah, it's fascinating. It's going to be, I think it's going to accelerate, and probably within a 1 year or two, we might have AGI.
And how long for super, do you think? Super intelligence?
So this is part is, I remember someone told me is like human is really bad predicting the future when they are on a exponentially grow curve, right? So the thing is we are on a exponentially growth curve right now, right? So I don't know. The thing is, I don't know if right now is all the things is like a still AI kind of ANI, large language models getting close to the AGI. But once you have AGI, if you stack all the AGI together, I'm not sure how soon the ASI could happen, right? Yeah, I think I'm really looking forward to the GPT-5. I think that's the first promise we might have an AGI.
Yeah. And it sounds like they're not working on it right now. I mean, right?
Well, like Google's like Gemini is coming, right? Gemini is coming soon. So once, what I heard, at least like Gemini will be more powerful than GPT-4. But will it reach to the level of GPT-5, reach to the level of AGI? I don't know. But it's definitely going to be like GPT 3.5, 4.5 type of work. So then once it's out, then we can start to evaluate if it's getting close to AGI.
It's going to be a fascinating few years ahead. I mean, that's the very least.
Yeah, well, it's like, however, it's fascinating few months, right?
Few months.
So you saw like a superconductor, right? So I think it's, the technology is on exponentially growing curve right now. It's really interesting moment in the human history, to witness all the things happening around us.
Yeah. And especially like we like humans are bad, like you said, bad at predicting technology, like this kind of technology where it's going to go. But you're running a business as well, right? So you sort of have to predict it a little bit. Like what's your you told us a little bit about what you're working on right now, like being
Yeah.
able to have users upload their own characters or create their own characters. What else is on the horizon for RealChar in terms of like what you want to release to the public?
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking ahead, right? Like I'm thinking ahead, like when the AGI comes, like what RealChar will, what value RealChar can bring to the user, right? So like this is the part like I find is really interesting is like, oh, how do you build a digital partnership, right? You understand like how there's a physical partnership, you and your wife, right? But there's what about like digital partnership? Like you with an AI companion, right? So this is the part I'm constantly thinking, right? What will be that relationship look like? Who will be knowing everything about you in digital life, but your wife will knowing you like everything in your physical life, right? So this is the things I'm constantly thinking. This is the part that's going to the psychology, like the relationship and how human build trust. Yeah, it's really fascinating. Like also like kind of Westworld type of thing, right? Like
Yeah.
yeah. So um, yeah, it's really fascinating. Like when I have some wild thoughts, but like sometimes when I talk to people, like it's more like too Black Mirror. Like they get scared when I talk about this.
Well, yeah, no, like one of the things is like while you're talking about this stuff, it's like we're going to come to a point where your AI character that you create, that you're sort of best friends with, you're going to be closer to that than your wife because you can tell the character how to act, whereas your wife doesn't always. It's not going to listen to some of the things you're saying some of the time. So, um, like
Yep.
that aspect. And what else do you? We can dive into your wild
Yeah.
analysis. What do you think?
So this is part is like, how do you live forever, right? How do you
Okay.
live forever? Like, how do you clone yourself in a digital world, right? Does that mean like when you are first born, then if you keep track of all the data, right? Understand all the data, trying to do alignment across you and the clone you, right? Are you the same like in the future, right? So if also like all the larger model, right? So once it get enough data, it can mimic, right? The mimic part is what the ChatGPT or what the GPT and the a larger model is good at. So given enough data of all the visual, sound, text, then are you going to live forever in the digital world, right? Because you are really synchronized with that, like your clone. Yeah. So this is the part is like, also like think about this, like you are not generating tons of data, right? Your eyes, your ears, it's not like every day is only probably gigabytes of data, at maximum terabytes of data, right? So your whole life is pretty much petabyte of data, right? Like that's small, right? So like, does that mean like in the future, like everyone can have your digital clone and live forever?
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's like
That's pretty crazy.
yeah,
Wrap my head around that all.
Yes.
yeah.
Oh gosh.
I mean, the only difference is like our human's idea of a conscience we have,
Right.
and we think AI wouldn't have. But I mean, that you can jump down a huge rabbit hole philosophy on that one. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's a very interesting question of
Yes.
yeah, it is. We'd at least be alive for the next generation and the next generation, right?
Right.
Or like some
or like
clone of us would be alive.
being able to. I think some really cool use cases. Like people are always so scared about AI until they learn about the use cases that can help them in their lives. So
Yes.
one of the things is like, someone's dying of cancer, someone has terminal illness, they can upload their entire life onto character RealChar or a similar service and be able to live on and talk to their kids. I mean, it's like that would be fascinating. My father passed away when I was little, and it would be amazing if I could talk to him now.
Yeah.
And I think that is going to happen very soon because it
Yes.
has such a good
Yeah.
implication for people have to go through grieving and things like that.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Ryan,
But then
you
there's another, like, people will ask you, like, then are you actually talking to, to him, right? Like, now you're talking to AI, right? Like, what AI is going to play the role in that? The thing is, like, I don't know, right? Like, there's so much things we don't know yet. But I'm just happy, there's ways we can help you, right? Like, if it's, so this is like the intention, right? Like, we want to help you in any way. I think AI should be helpful in any way we can, right? Within the legal, like, definitely within the legal, like, condition, right? But in a way, so that's why, like, I'm open source. That's why, like, open source technology, right? So even if they're legal telling me, like, I cannot do this, you can still do it on your own, right? I can help you do this. So then I'm not liable for that. But as long as you think it's useful for you, you can use it.
So I wanted to ask you, like, I imagine you have like some Discord or something like that where you see these use cases, right?
Yeah.
What are the majority of people using RealChar for?
Yeah. So it's very, like, I think when I build this project, I want to be really fun and entertaining project, right? Like, we are tired, talk to Elon Musk, right? Getting inspired, or tell Sam Altman about, like, AGI, asking him what he thinks about the AGI, right? All the questions you ask me, like, you ask them, right? So they were, like, kind of like, they are going to respond in a way similar to their thoughts, but still, like, kind of get a second opinion, or sometimes, right? It's really helpful, right? Another thing is, like, we want to make this, how do I put it? So I want to make this is more close to the user, right? So that's why I give it a sound effect, right? So you can hear them, so you're getting really close to them in a way. And they can also, if you go to RealChar, they can also express their emotions. So I'm also trying to experiment how human interaction with the AI, that's more real time, right? Do you accept the type of technology? Like, what type of conversation you are having with those AIs? I definitely have people come back telling me is like, oh, I'm not using character AI. Why do I need to use the RealChar, right? But for those people, I was telling them is like, give it a try. Because I was not a character AI user when I built RealChar. But when I built this, like, I found, like, when I'm tired, I'm actually pretty interesting when I talk to, like, I was talking to Loki, right? So, like, he has a really interesting way to tell you, like, how things is happening, right? Yeah, so, like, that part of, like, just talk to someone, like, really help you to, like, be, how do I put, stay positive.
Yeah.
So
Well,
you see it as like,
one theme that keeps coming up with the people that we interview is, like, everyone mentions they have similar projects to yours, or even not similar projects, but they're all AI related. Is that there's a huge, like, loneliness factor out there? So this could help in that terms, because all these kids are brought up, the next generation of kids, the teenagers, kids in high school, everyone's attached to their cell phone and they're sort of disconnected from human interaction. Now, AI is not going to make that better, but at least they can maybe talk to somebody that feels like a human. Whereas if they don't have that many friends, it will help in that aspect.
Yeah, I think this is also another part I find is really interesting. I think loneliness is definitely something, we want to help, right? Um, like, especially for, like, senior house, those type of scenarios, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's actually really helpful for them to talk to someone, right? And also, like, when we build these projects, we also want to make sure, like, the character we bring in are healthy, right? Like, or, like, stay positive, right? But there's definitely, a direction is, like, not safe for work, right? I think some of the platform, they are getting tons of, like, traffic for those, but we don't think that's, well, they have their own use, right? Just like all the, like OnlyFans, those type of work. So you do have, like, fans, followers, but for us, we want to be more, like, healthy and helpful, and you should be able to easily share this with your kids, right? Easily share this, like, probably share this with your family. So this is the part I want. Like, this should be something, like, you find it fascinating and you get everyone to use it, and without worrying, like, what's going to happen.
Yeah. Now, are you gonna? So that brings up a great point. Are you gonna? you guys are open source. You can sort of do whatever you want on your local computer if you want to make any kind of characters you want. But say if someone wants to create a character based on like some sexual conversation, like do you guys have to moderate that, or how are you gonna
Yeah,
what's your
so
business
I
model?
think our thinking is like for all the community characters, we're going to help review this. Like you can create on your own, like you do that, privately, right? You can have a private version. I'm okay. You create those. Do whatever you want with that character. But if you want the community use this, we're going to see, okay, is this like healthy or is like encouraging? Is it good for everyone to use it? Or are you going to share this with your family? First question I'm going to ask you, are you going to share this with your kids, with your family, right? Yeah, if it's not, probably not good for the community.
Okay, that's a good litmus test right there. So
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, it seems like you're creating a great culture too. It seems like the
yeah,
developers and you yourself are really embodying a great culture of how to use this and how to promote
yeah,
this and really having a great attitude about it. And I think that trickles down throughout the
yeah.
use cases as well.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I think there's very interesting. There are so many people ask me like, are you going to create, more like AI girlfriend, AI boyfriend type of like intimate relationship? I tell them like, potentially eventually, like when AI companion like become really close to you, maybe. But right now I still want to focus is like bring value to the community. Like everyone should be able to use it like safely.
Very cool.
And at the beginning of the interview, you mentioned funding, and you guys are sort of self-funding this right now. Are you looking for VC funding right now? Or are you waiting for later? Or are you going to self-fund it? What's your roadmap look like in that
Yes,
terms? In
yes.
those terms.
We, to be honest, we do have some inbound interest on the VC funding part.
Mhm.
We are like also uh, we're not actively looking for funding, like but we do like on our roadmap, we will need funding like this year, definitely.
Awesome. Yeah, wish you the best of luck. I think it will be an easy sell to the VCs. So
Thank you.
Oh yeah. Was there anything that we hadn't asked you so far that you wanted to share with people or that you wanted to share about your project or yourself?
Yeah, I think to probably to all your audience, like we have a really interesting Discord, right? So if you are also passionate about like potential AI character, AI companions, I share a lot of my thoughts in Discord, and I'll share also a lot of the progress and what are the things on the roadmap, and we also give also like an incentive to be a part of the community is we give them a like a something to try before we launch to the public. So they're going to like test something really cool stuff before everyone knows it. So yeah, so like so that's why we already have 600 like members like within
wow.
the last 2 weeks. Like so
Wow.
like the community is growing and everybody is like you have a lot of like-minded people like in that. It doesn't need to be technical. Like you can be any level. There's non-technical people telling us, okay, there's can be helpful in this way, and there's like yeah all kinds of different uses. It's pretty fun.
And your Discord is just RealChar.
Yeah, so in the on the RealChar like landing page, there is a Discord button, so you can click that. They should be able to join.
And we'll put a link in the comments
Yeah,
below too for all
sure.
for RealChar, the Discord, your Twitter, all that stuff. So
Yeah,
link
that
that.
sounds
Be sure
awesome.
to have
It
it.
sounds like the community is really what's driving this. The community
Yeah.
and human innovation is really what's going to drive this project forward. And that's
Yes.
really cool.
Yes. Yeah. Like I said,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people thinking about this. We want to like make a companion a big thing, and we also need to compete with the big companies, right? So like yeah, so that's why like we want to have a community that's be able to build a companion for everyone.
That's
That's
great. That
awesome.
should be your motto right there.
Thank you.
Uh,
Very cool. Ryan,
well,
did
I
you
think
have
that's
anything?
all I've got. We're getting close to an hour here, anyways. So,
Very cool.
um,
Yeah.
but we're super we were super excited to have you on. Thanks so much for coming on. Again, we'll be sure to list out all those links in the comments below. And then, Hunter, if you want to
Yeah.
have anything else to add.
Yeah. So thanks, Shaun. If you want to check out more of Shaun's project, you can go to RealChar. That's real and then C. Oh, he's got it right there. CHAR.ai. So you see that if you go to that, it'll take you right on their landing page. Like you said, it's all their social media, everything like that. You can chat with characters and create your own characters and imagine your own use cases. Go to their Discord. Hundreds of people. You can chat about it. Very exciting project. We're super excited about it. We're super excited to see where it goes. It seems like it's just being born. So super exciting. And then Ryan and I, if you want to check out our newsletter, the newsletter, you can be found at fry-ai.com. It's a weekday newsletter. We provide usually 3 stories each day that are groundbreaking or really interesting in the world of AI, the AI space. We also provide some tools, some different AI tools for all different kinds of uses, whether you're a developer or whether you're just someone who's mildly interested in AI. And we write it in an easy to read, simple to understand way, so anybody can check it out. We got some fun stuff. The Fry AI, the Fry is just for fun because Ryan's daughter loves French fries. So that's how we got the name Fry AI.
Nice.
We'll have to post one day. I came home and my daughter, she's only a year and a half old. She's eating French fries, and all of a sudden she just goes nuts. She's like, fries, like lifting her arms up, screaming it at the top of her lungs. So I got to get that video posted. That could go viral. But
That'd be a good one.
sort of the background on why we put the Fry AI on top of things, just to make it fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good name.
And then be sure to follow RealChar and Fry AI on social media platforms, Twitter, and so forth. But thank you so much, Shaun, for coming on. We really appreciate you. And we'll be in touch for sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Shaun. Good luck. Awesome project.
Thank you.
Thank you.